Hello, and welcome back to Timeless Wisdom. What if the person who's always been there for you, the one who raised and supported you, was unknowingly signaling that their time was drawing near, but you didn't notice until it was too late? Aging is an inevitable process, but often the body gives quiet warnings, subtle changes that are easy to miss. These aren't grand gestures or loud alarms. Instead, they're small, almost unnoticeable, yet they carry a poignant message. While some elderly individuals stay energetic, active and sharp, others may begin to slow down, retreat, and show signs of deeper changes. The real question is, could you identify these signs if they were happening right now? In this video, we'll highlight 5 subtle signs that may indicate an elderly loved one is approaching their final year. These signs are rooted in research and have been observed in those nearing the end of their journey. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what to look for and how you can offer your support during these crucial moments. Stick with me till the end, because missing these signs could mean missing out on making their final days as meaningful as possible. Now let's begin with the first sign, and this one is something that most families don't realize until it's too late. Have you ever sat down with an elderly loved one only to notice they're barely eating? At first it seems harmless. Maybe they say they're just not that hungry, or they push their plate away claiming they've already eaten. But what if this change isn't just a passing moment, but a silent warning sign? A shift in appetite, especially a consistent decline in food intake, is one of the most overlooked yet significant indicators that the body is preparing for its final stage. It doesn't happen overnight. One day they skip breakfast. The next their dinner plate remains half full. Slowly, food becomes an afterthought. The meals they once enjoyed no longer excite them. Their favourite dishes sit untouched. You may hear phrases like, "I just don't feel like eating," or "food doesn't taste the same anymore." And at first, you brush it off as just another part of aging. But here's the hard truth. This isn't just aging. It's a deeper signal that the body is beginning to slow down. When the body starts shutting down, it requires less energy. The digestive system, once so active, begins to work more sluggishly. Nutrient absorption declines. Hormonal changes affect hunger signals. But more than the physical reasons, there's an emotional and psychological aspect that many people don't realize. People in their final stage often lose interest in food because they no longer feel a strong attachment to the future. They stop thinking about their next meal, their next holiday, their next anything. Subconsciously, the body knows it is transitioning, and appetite becomes one of the first things to fade. This loss of appetite often comes with visible weight loss, but here's the thing, it's not always dramatic. It might start subtly. A belt that suddenly needs tightening, a once fitted shirt that now looks loose. You may even start noticing their hands, arms, and face looking thinner, almost as if their body is quietly withdrawing from the physical world. What makes this sign even more heartbreaking is how many families miss it. They assume their loved one is just being picky, that maybe their taste buds are changing. They try offering different meals, urging them to eat more, sometimes even pleading with them to finish just one more bite. And when that doesn't work, frustration sets in. But what if, instead of frustration, we approach this moment with understanding? What if we recognize that this shift isn't just about food? It's about the body's natural way of preparing for the next stage. If you're seeing this happen to someone you love, the most important thing you can do is be present. Instead of pressuring them to eat, shift the focus to comfort. Offer small portions of foods they enjoy, but don't push. Sometimes it's not about the meal itself, but the shared moment of sitting together, talking, and making them feel cared for. This stage is not about forcing the body to function the way it once did. It's about honouring the process and making every moment meaningful. And if you've noticed this sign in someone you love, you're not alone. Type yes in the comments if this resonates with you, because sometimes just recognizing the signs can make all the difference. Now let's talk about the next subtle but powerful sign, one that's even more difficult to notice but carries an even deeper meaning. Have you ever walked into a room where an elderly loved one once filled the space with stories, laughter, and conversation, only to find them sitting quietly, almost disconnected from everything around them? Maybe they used to ask about your day, show interest in family gatherings, or call you just to check in. But now they sit in silence, answering in short phrases, nodding instead of speaking, and fading into the background of conversations they once led. At first, it feels like they're just tired, maybe lost in thought. But what if this quietness is actually a deeper signal, one that most people overlook until it's too late? One of the most telling signs that an elderly person may be in their final year is a gradual withdrawal from conversations, social interactions, and everyday life. It's not just about being less talkative, it's about disconnecting from the world around them. You may notice they no longer seem as engaged in discussions. They might stop asking about your life, their once curious nature replaced with distant nods and short responses. Invitations to family gatherings may be met with reluctance, or worse, they may sit in the corner, only half listening, their minds somewhere else. It's as if they are slowly stepping back, not just from the conversation, but from life itself. This withdrawal isn't just a mood shift. It's not boredom or a lack of interest. It's the body and mind beginning to prepare for something beyond this physical existence. Psychologists and hospice nurses have observed this pattern time and time again. People nearing the final stage of life naturally start letting go of social attachments. It's not something they decide to do consciously. Rather, it's an instinctive process, a slow retreat into an inner world. For some, it starts subtly. Maybe they used to love watching the news, debating topics, or engaging in deep discussions. Now they sit passively, barely reacting. Conversations that once sparked excitement now seem to drift past them. Their energy for engaging with the world fades, and with it, their presence in daily life. But here's where most people get it wrong. They assume their loved one is just feeling off. Or worse, they take it personally. Why won't Dad talk to me anymore? Why doesn't Grandma ask about my life the way she used to? It's easy to misinterpret this as disinterest, as if they no longer care. But the truth is they care deeply. They just don't have the same pull toward the outside world anymore. Their focus shifts inward. They begin reflecting, reminiscing, and, whether they say it out loud or not, they start saying goodbye in their own way. If you notice this happening, the worst thing you can do is force interaction. Instead, meet them where they are. Sometimes the greatest comfort you can offer is simply sitting with them in silence. Let them know you're there without needing words. Share old memories. Look at old photos together. Play music from their younger years. These small gestures can make them feel seen, even if they no longer engage the way they once did. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect. Have you seen this shift in someone you love? If so, you're not alone. Drop a yes in the comments if you've noticed a loved one becoming more distant. It's a sign that many miss until it's too late. And now, let's move on to the third subtle but profound sign, one that can be heartbreaking to witness, yet holds an undeniable truth. Have you noticed your elderly loved one sleeping more during the day, dozing off in the middle of conversations, or struggling to stay awake even during moments they once enjoyed? Maybe they once had a steady sleep routine, waking up early, moving through their day with purpose, and going to bed at a reasonable hour. But now something has changed. They nap more often, their nights seem restless, and their days are filled with long periods of exhaustion. It's easy to assume it's just normal aging, but what if it's something deeper, a sign that their body is gradually slowing down in a way that can't be reversed? One of the most overlooked yet powerful signs that an elderly person may be in their final year is a noticeable decline in energy levels and a shift in sleeping habits. It's not just about feeling tired, it's a fundamental change in how their body functions. You might notice them sleeping longer than usual, yet still feeling drained. They may struggle to get out of bed in the morning, their movement slower, their motivation to start the day fading. Some days, it might feel as if they're drifting in and out of sleep, more absent than present. This isn't laziness, nor is it just a side effect of aging. It's the body's natural way of conserving energy, redirecting its focus away from daily survival and toward a gradual shutting down process. Doctors and hospice nurses often observe this pattern in those nearing the final stages of life. The body no longer prioritizes high energy levels because instinctively it knows it no longer needs to sustain itself for the long term. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this change is how subtle it begins. At first, you might think they're just a little more tired than usual, or maybe they didn't sleep well last night. But then the pattern deepens. They start skipping their favorite activities, opting to rest instead. Conversations that once energized them now seem to wear them out. Even simple movements, getting up from a chair, walking across a room, feel more laborious than they used to. And here's where most people misinterpret this sign. They assume their loved one just needs more exercise, more fresh air, or a better sleep routine. They encourage them to go for walks, engage in hobbies, or try to stay awake longer. But what if, instead of pushing them to be more active, we accepted and honored this process? What if we stopped viewing their need for rest as a problem and instead saw it as a signal that their body is preparing for something beyond our understanding? If you're seeing this change in someone you love, the best thing you can do is adjust your expectations. Instead of trying to keep them awake or engaged, be there with them during their waking moments. Sit with them, hold their hand, talk to them softly even if their eyes are closing as you speak. These are the moments that matter, not the length of time they stay awake, but the comfort they feel when they do. If you've noticed this in someone you love, you're not alone. Drop a yes in the comments if this resonates with you, because sometimes understanding these signs isn't about changing them. It's about learning how to cherish the time we have left. Now, let's talk about the next subtle but deeply emotional sign, one that many people fail to recognize until the very end. Have you ever noticed an elderly loved one suddenly become more at peace, reflective, or emotionally open in ways they never were before? Maybe they spent years holding on to stress, worrying about every detail of life, or carrying burdens from the past, only for those worries to suddenly disappear. They begin talking about their life differently, expressing gratitude instead of regret, speaking with a calmness that almost feels out of place. Some even start sharing stories they never told before, as if they're wrapping up unfinished business. At first, this shift may feel comforting, even inspiring. But what if it's actually something deeper? What if this newfound peace is a subtle but profound signal that their journey is coming to an end? One of the most mysterious yet widely observed signs that an elderly person may be in their final year is a sudden emotional clarity, an acceptance of life, a release of past struggles, and a peaceful presence that wasn't there before. This change is something doctors, hospice nurses, and caregivers have noticed time and time again. It's as if, without warning, the mind and spirit instinctively know that the body's time is limited, and instead of fighting against it, some people embrace it. This sign is difficult to recognize because, unlike the other physical indicators, it isn't tied to weakness or decline. It feels like the opposite. It's a return to emotional strength, an ability to reflect with deep awareness. You may notice them speaking about life with unusual clarity, offering wisdom with a weight that makes you pause. They might talk about memories in vivid detail, even ones you assumed they had long forgotten. Some begin reaching out to loved ones they haven't spoken to in years, making peace with old conflicts, or offering forgiveness where there was once resentment. And then there's something even more chilling. They start speaking as if they know their time is coming. They might say things like, "I've lived a good life. I'm ready whenever my time comes. I feel at peace now." For those around them, these words can be heartbreaking and difficult to hear. It's tempting to dismiss them, to reassure them with phrases like, "Don't talk like that. You have plenty of time left." But what if, instead of denying their feelings, we listened? What if, instead of trying to push away the truth, we accepted that sometimes people know when they are nearing the end? This sense of peace and clarity doesn't happen to everyone, but when it does, it's a moment to be honoured. It's not about sadness, it's about allowing them to express what they feel without fear, without correction, without interruption. If your elderly loved one suddenly becomes more reflective, more at peace, or speaks as if they are letting go, be there, listen to them, let them share whatever is on their heart, because these are the moments that matter most. If you've ever witnessed this change in someone, type "yes" in the comments, because recognizing this shift isn't just about understanding, it's about being present for them in their final chapter. Now let's move on to the fifth and final sign, perhaps the most heart-wrenching yet important one of all. There's something truly mysterious that happens to some elderly people in their final days or weeks, something so unexpected that it often gives families false hope. Imagine this. Your loved one has been weak for months, barely eating, barely speaking, sleeping through most of the day. Then, out of nowhere, they wake up with an unusual burst of energy. Their eyes are brighter, their voice is stronger, and for the first time in a long time, they seem like their old self again. They sit up in bed, ask for their favourite meal, engage in deep conversations, maybe even joke or laugh like they haven't in years. It feels like a miracle, like they're getting better. But what if this sudden energy isn't a sign of recovery, but a final farewell? Doctors and hospice caregivers call this the last surge, or rally, a moment when the body, despite its decline, gathers its remaining strength for one last act of clarity, connection, and closure. It can last for hours, sometimes a full day, but it almost always leads to a sudden and unexpected decline shortly after. Families who witness this often feel confused, even hopeful. Maybe they're turning a corner, maybe they were misdiagnosed, maybe they'll make it after all. But then, just as quickly as it came, the energy fades, and they slip back into deep fatigue, often leading to their passing within days. Why does this happen? While science doesn't fully understand it, many believe that this burst of energy is the body's final release, one last effort to say goodbye, to experience a moment of normalcy, to connect with loved ones before letting go. It's as if, in that moment, they are given the gift of presence, the chance to share final words, final memories, and final expressions of love. Some use this time to give advice, share stories, or even express emotions they never could before. Others simply sit in peaceful awareness, soaking in the presence of their family. But here's what makes this moment so important. Many people miss it. They assume their loved one is improving and focus on what's next, rather than realizing that this is the moment they need to cherish. If this happens to someone you love, don't waste it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't assume you have more time. Sit with them, listen to them, hold their hand, let them know they are loved, that they are safe, that they are not alone. Because more often than not, this is the body's way of saying one final goodbye. If you've ever witnessed this in someone you love, take a deep breath and know that you are not alone. Type "yes" in the comments if this resonates with you, because sometimes just understanding these signs can bring comfort in moments of uncertainty. And now, as we reflect on these 5 powerful signs, let's talk about what they mean and what you can do if you see them happening in someone you love. Watching someone you love go through these changes is never easy. Each of these 5 subtle signs, a loss of appetite, withdrawal from conversations, increased sleep and fatigue, a sudden sense of peace, and the final burst of energy, can be difficult to recognize in the moment. They often appear so gradually that families miss them until it's too late. But now that you know what to look for, you have the power to be present, to listen, and to make these final moments truly meaningful. What can you do if you start noticing these signs in someone you care about deeply? The answer isn't about preventing the inevitable, but rather about making each moment truly count. Be there for them. Sit by their side, hold their hand, and make sure they feel loved, safe, and never alone. Embrace their quiet moments, their changes in energy, and the times when they're lost in thought. Above all, cherish the time you have together, because at the end of the day, it's not the amount of time that matters, but how we use it. If this video resonated with you, take a moment to share by commenting "Yes" below if you've noticed these signs in a loved one. Your experience could provide support to someone else going through the same situation. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you stay updated on important topics related to senior health, aging, and emotional well-being. Thank you for watching. Stay present, stay strong, and most importantly, treasure every moment you have with the people you love. Timeless Wisdom. We're here to help you navigate life's most precious moments.